if you're a religious pluralist and you think that there are lots of paths to the divine, that's one way to explain it, right? You can just say all these people are having genuine, verifiable experiences of the same God, but they just occur in different ways. That's one way to approach it. But the critic is going to say, well, they can't all be true, though. I mean, if the Christian claims to have an experience that proves the Christian God, and we have a Muslim claiming to have proof of, their God, and you have Hindus and Buddhists and all these people claiming to have religious experiences, then and some of them are mistaken, right? Either all of them are mistaken or some of them are mistaken and some of them are right. So we've got conflicting accounts, the criticism goes, to religious stories and religious experience, because it seems like to many that they can't all be right. I mean, people claim to have experiences of all kinds of things. Can we just take all of them at face value, or do some of them conflict with each other, right? Because the beliefs of one religion seem to be in conflict with the beliefs of other religions. So how do we reconcile that fact that people have different religious experiences in different religions? And that seems to depend on where they are, right? If you're in the United States, you're more likely to claim or invoke a Christian miracle. If you're in another part of the world, you're going to invoke, right, a miracle from another religion, and that seems to be dependent really on geography more than truth, perhaps, right? So the critic says. I'm not saying that these aren't good arguments. I'm just saying that's what a lot of critics are going to say. So yeah, we already mentioned number 5. Right, the ways in which they do differ cause them to carry less authority than daily experiences, right? So in some cases, faith is given higher praise than reason. I mean, really what this is an argument against, when people claim to have miracles, as David Hume would say, the evidence for that miracle needs to be pretty overwhelming, right? And what we see from claimed miracles is, according to Hume, a lack of evidence. So that seems to go against the view, according to Hume and Mackey, right, in terms of using religious experience as evidence for God's existence. So let's try to wrap up here with some general philosophical questions, because I think, I've kind of gone through these rather quickly, and there's so much more to say. I'm not doing that intentionally to say that they're not important. Of course they are, but just in the interest of brevity. One philosophical question that comes up is, should the burden of proof lie with those who claim to have religious experiences or with those who doubt them? Right, that's one question, because obviously a lot of people claim to have very profound experiences, and I'm certainly not in a position to want to deny that. But I tend to lie on this side. I think that the burden of proof is always on somebody making a positive claim towards something. So, if people claim to see anything, whether it's God, Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, flying spaghetti monsters, I think the burden of proof is on them to produce that evidence. And as I've said in other contexts, the great Carl Sagan, who I referenced earlier, said, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. And I tend to think that also tips the scales in terms of the person making a positive claim, right? If you claim that you've seen the divine, then, right, that's going to require a lot of evidence. But some people disagree with that. Yeah. So I mentioned this towards the end here. Should the different experiences by believers of different religions count against their credibility? Because again, we have to figure out whether we think they're compatible. Because if we have people from different religions making claims that aren't compatible with other people's claims, then that's a problem. But again, maybe you think that all religious experience is equally valid. But then there's a rejoinder to that. I mean, people have had religious experiences in all major religions, right? That predate even Christianity and Islam and Judaism. So what are we supposed to do with that? I mean, if we had somebody in Greece in 300 BCE claim that they were visited by Zeus, I mean, can we say that they were wrong, but the people in 2021 are right? I mean, then that seems to be problematic, right? So how do we parse different experiences by believers of the thousands of religions that humans have, claimed to experience in human history? Does that diminish? Does it increase? Right? I'll leave that ultimately to you to say. Are religious experiences enough to justify personal belief or broader ontological commitments, right? I mean, can we go from I've had an experience of X, so therefore X is true for everyone? Or can at most we say that religious experience only justifies personal belief in something, right? Can religious experiences be verified? I'll leave that to you. What method should we use, right? Is James onto something that it's really just, we can't really have arguments for God's existence. It's all got to be a leap of faith. So maybe pragmatism has something going for it. And should religious experience in general be treated differently than other experiences? That's a good question.